Well, what is going on, boys and girls? Welcome back to another video on the channel, a video that I've been putting off for way longer than needed. This is my brand new 2025 2075 Lund Pro V, my absolute dream boat. I'm sure I probably said that on my first 1875, but we're gonna go through all the features, why this makes this my dream boat. I mean, it's pretty much anybody's dream boat if anybody's trying to get into an aluminum boat, but I'm excited to show you guys all the features of it, everything that I've done to it and everything that I'm planning to do it. So let's walk through a couple of the stuff on the outside here and then we'll hop on the inside. Okay, so like I said, this is a 2075 Pro V Sport model. My last two Lunds were 1875 Pro Sports. I did have a new 1875 last year as well as the year before, but did not do a walkthrough on last year's boat because nothing really changed on that one. But this boat measures 20 foot 11 inches, so almost call it a 21 footer. Like all Pro V hulls, we've got the IPS2 integrated power strake, so that means you get an additional strake up underneath the boat, really shoot those waves to the side, as well as the additional aluminum hull thickness. So it is an absolute tank, absolute beast of a boat, and this boat is powered by the 300 Pro XS V8 4-stroke, my all-time favorite engine. 300 is the max horsepower for this boat. I could have gone with the 300 Verado. There's nothing like that V8 torque and that power coming from that engine, because as a guide, when I've got 4 or 5 guests in the boat, I would much rather have that instant hole shot with the Torque Master lower unit than the potential of a little bit more top end speed with the Verado. The Verados are also a lot quieter, but like I said, when this thing fires up, there's nothing like it. We've also got the 9.9 Pro kicker back here. I don't really use that quite as much for trolling, just because the bow mount on this boat will power this boat plenty, but it's a good insurance policy. So when I'm 15 or 20 miles offshore on Green Bay, if for some weird reason the Mercury crap the bed, then obviously I've got the kicker to get me back in. But it is nice running a kicker on a boat this big, just to have some rear propulsion when you're trolling, and then use the bow mount to steer. So then as far as the color scheme goes on this boat, so this was actually the same color scheme as my first boat, black Silverstone. But as you guys can see, just like my last Lund, we've got the premium graphics package here. So basically your Lund emblem goes from the back to the middle, and then your model just kind of basically flip-flop, but you've got the upgraded premium graphics on this. The black and Silverstone is just, it's one of my favorite Lund colors. I know Heritage Red is always really popular with Lund guys, that red, but I'm just not a big red guy. So the black and Silverstone looks really, really sharp, especially with the premium graphics. My Pro V last year was all black, hull included, with some dark gray accents and a red Lund logo. As much as I love all black vehicles and everything, they're just so difficult to keep clean, and I keep my boats extremely clean, so that's why I went with the Silverstone underside and the accents here. And then trailer, this is your standard dual axle Shorelander trailer from Lund. It's got the Lund guard all the way throughout, so you're not gonna have to worry about rusting and all that. It's obviously not galvanized, but I do prefer that Black Mac Lund guard finish on there. We've got the premium package as well in the trailer with the diamond plate fenders, and then I did opt for the load guides on this one. These are actually aftermarket, the Lund. I can drop a link below. A lot of people ask me about those. Just nice to have. The plastic Lund guards, they're not gonna scratch your boat at all, period, but it just is a nice accent. It just helps to have a little bit of that added foam on the inside, just in case you do happen to bump them, which I've been known to do, but that's why we've got these on here. But yeah, obviously, I mean, all the way up from 1875 to 2175, even on the 1875, you have the option for a dual axle. I had singles on both mine, had no issues with them, but it is really nice to have the dual axle on this one. And then obviously standard up here, we've got the breakaway tongue as well, but all around tows this thing really nice. Okay, and then as we make our way around the boat to the other side of the trailer, you guys will see I have trailer steps on this boat. These are actually from the factory. You can order your boat with trailer steps from Lund. On my previous two Pro Vs, the first Pro V that I had easy steps on there. Those were great. Those were transferred just from the Crestliner that I had before that. And then on my Pro V last year, I hooked up with Boat Effects and I had Boat Effects steps on there. Those were great, but I did sell those with my Pro V from last year. So on this model, I decided from the factory to get these installed super sturdy. They're bolted right to the winch post like most of them are. Depending on the brand, if you guys want to get aftermarket, sometimes they mount differently on the trailer, and that's kind of why I wanted to just have it all done from the factory, but they're super sturdy. I did add just a little bit of grip tape on here, but once we get aqua traction in the boat, I'm gonna have them scan the steps, and we're gonna put some aqua traction pads on here too. But in the meantime, that's pretty much it for the outside of the boat. I think there's probably no better time to get this thing dumped in, and I'll go over all the interior features and run this thing around for you guys. So let's get this thing dumped in and get after it. Certainly, we cannot forget, this is the best part. I'm gonna take the microphone off and leave it right where it needs to be. Never gets old, folks. Never gets old. And much like any self-respecting, beautiful boat owner, we do not ever tie this boat off to the dock unless I have to. That's what we've got the Tarova for. Curbside service, if you will. That's how it's done. Camera guy, why don't you hop in the boat? Okay, that's it, Grant. I'll throw you the remote. Just let me know how the fishing was. Bye. There's just nothing better than just pulling up to the dock, get your little boat pulled over to you, my nice little RC boat, bring it in. Got to be good with the remote. She never has to even so much as see the dock. All right, well, let's get in the cockpit here and buzz around and kind of talk about a couple things. So I guess first things first, at the helm here on this boat, this is actually the first Lund that I've owned here in the last 3 years that has the DTS throttle, the digital situation. It is super freaking sweet. I was actually kind of nervous about it. I ran an electronic session with a client of mine a couple of years ago that had DTS, and I about threw him off the boat. It is super, super sensitive, but it is instantaneous, no lag or delay or anything, and the shifting is ultra smooth. So if it's in your budget, highly recommend opting for the DTS throttle, and it's got push button start. Always feel cool push button starting a boat. But yeah, we'll go over everything. I mean, obviously we've got controls at the helm here too, for the kicker, your throttle over here, and then the key down there. We'll fire it up, runs like a sewing machine, like a kicker should. But yeah, we'll kind of get out of the harbor, go run around. Let's take off. Talk about top end on the 300. Right now we're not even maxed out. We're about 55 miles an hour. So I've got a little bit more room to go as far as the top end. We could probably see high 50s, close to 60 on a light load. Do I need to go that fast? Absolutely not, but it is definitely nice. But like I said, as we're kind of setting her down here, that I didn't even take off quite as fast as I could. We'll do another little quick clip where I really punch that, but the Torque Master lower unit on these Pro XS V8 engines is absolutely insane how quick you're up and out of the hole. I mean, it's like 1 second at best. But in the meantime here, while we just kind of float around, we'll go over all of the interior features. We'll kind of start from the back here. So starting at the back of the boat, you guys probably will remember from 2023, or at least maybe my walkthrough video, my 1875. In 2023, they basically redesigned almost the entirety of the inside of the boat here. Starting with the rear deck, we've got the standard jump seats, which I'm pretty sure were only available before on the Impacts and the Tyes. It's really nice not having to have those extra seats back here. Granted, the 2075 cockpit is absolutely massive back here, so it is feasible to have 2 separate seats here and sit people in the rear jump seats here. But you know, when we're fishing and stuff, when I've got clients or guests in the boat, it's just nice for the rides to be able to flip those jump seats up, and then when it's fishing time, flip them down. Then you get up on your big rear casting deck here, and then right below my feet, we've got a 31-gallon, 44-inch live well here. It's usually got a divider in there. I leave it out. Seeing as how this is a tournament boat, we've got the flow right system in here with pump out and recirc. The boat also has a, well, we'll call it a hole up underneath the hull there that's got high-speed pickup, so you can open up the high-speed pickup line when you're running from spot to spot, and it's constantly pumping fresh water in there. But otherwise, we've got stainless steel cup holders, little cubby, tool spots back here. On all three of my Pro Vs, I did opt for the optional wash down system. So this is super nice, especially for me, somebody that likes to keep their boat clean. Somebody spills a coffee or a beer or night crawler stuff, you can just hose that right out. So that is a really nice feature to have. Obviously, if it's in the budget, I highly recommend it. And then from there, as far as like family stuff and just from a safety aspect, especially up on the Great Lakes where you're required to have a boarding ladder, we've got a 4-step telescoping ladder that just flips down into the water. And then when you're all done, you just stitch that up like that, hide away. So it's one less thing for the net to get caught on, because I typically will net fish on this side of the boat. Which is opposite. A lot of guys net fish on that side, but I don't like to do it, especially if we've got the kicker down. Less things for that to get hung up on. We've got step pads on the gunnels in the back and the front, but at some point here soon, I've got the aqua traction all laid out and ready to go. I just need the time to have that installed. So that is one thing that my last 2 boats have had, obviously, that I will have on this boat, is full aqua traction in the entirety of the gunnels and the floor and the bow as well. But you guys can see here on the Lund Sport Track system, I've got all my rod holders rigged up on the tracks. One thing I'm gonna do different on this boat is I am going to mount a 60-inch piece of Cisco track on the gunnel and then rework my entire rod holder system. So that is something that's gonna be coming up. We'll do a separate video on that one. But then here, as far as storage, and I guess that's one thing that I will say about the Pro Vs, there is not 1 inch of unused space in this boat for storage. Literally everything is storage. So on my 1875s, I still have the same storage on either side up underneath the gunnel. This one just happens to be a little bit bigger. So we've got that pull-out tray right there. I've got all my trolling stuff, crankbaits, bottom bouncer stuff. Plus it gives you really easy access for all your wires that run up and down the gunnel as well. And then over on this side, this is just your port side storage, which I use for my long trolling rods. So you can fit on the 2075 up to 10-foot rods on this rod storage side. So like I said, I've got all my long trolling rods in there, but if you guys want, you can use that just for general storage. But this one is like twice the size from my 1875. So it's nice to have those to get the rods out of the way, especially the long ones. And then on the floor, up underneath here, this is a panel that comes out. So it's got both my starting battery, which all of my batteries on this new boat are MillerTech lithium. Shout out to those guys for hooking me up and rigging this boat out just like I want it with all my lithiums. But I've got my starting battery as well as my 125 amp hour MillerTech electronics house battery. So all my electronics and both live scopes are rigged up to that one right there. So as far as your battery access goes, that's where that is in the floor, versus my Pro V, which it was up underneath this jump seat. But underneath this jump seat in the 2075, you've got your power steering mechanism right here, all your battery controls. This is my black box for the rear live scope right here. And then I have an extra 40 amp hour lithium right there that powers this black box right there. And then other side jump seat as well. This is all storage up underneath here. That's just where I keep all my planer boards and stuff, or general cleaning supplies. But it's always nice to have all of this extra storage back here. And then as we move forward in the boat, just like in my second boat from last year, obviously, like I said, what you guys didn't see, I went for the pilot's chairs that do have kind of like a smooth moves kind of suspension seat. Really, really nice, especially in big water. Lumbar saver, as I call it, but it's got a weight adjustment on both sides, so you can make it less bouncy or more bouncy. But in the glove box, we have the glove box where you could literally lose everything. Giant, super deep glove box in there just for whatever you got to throw in there. And then if I move my net here up underneath, these storage drawers, super nice. This is where I keep all my 3700 boxes, most of them. So it is super, super nice to have that for all your tackle and whatnot. At the helm here, My office, for the most part, well, my office is all over the boat, but when I'm driving the boat, so we have basically the same setup that I've had for almost every boat. I've pretty much copied and pasted my setup for every Lund that I've had. So I've got two 12-inch EchoMap units mounted here, and on this boat I mounted this one on the right side on a fin gear mount just to bring it up a little bit. I know it seems excessive, like I can't see, but I promise you, you definitely can see. So I've got everything there. We've just got standard gauges on this one, only because my engine has Vessel View Mobile, which has now been rebranded and renamed. I forget what it's actually called now, but I don't need an hour meter readout at the helm here because I can just get on my phone and see what's going on with the engine. But other than that, standard Rockford Fosgate stereo. We've got two 6-inch kickers up here and then two 4s up in the bow. Just another little personal glove box. That's kind of where I keep all my sun gaiters and all that good stuff. And then a nice little dash area here. We've got power pretty much everywhere. So we've got USB-C and USB right here. Then your standard switch panel here. It's got another 12-volt outlet there. Cup holder, a little nice cubby along here. Then obviously we've got the DTS control here with push button start. Always kind of fun. So keys just got to be on to engage that. But then another standard feature also on the switch panel here that you'll notice that Lund integrated in 2023 when they refreshed everything. Standard LED strips from front to back. So obviously it's going to be a little hard to tell in the daytime, but it's got a dimmer switch. So you're going to need it because these suckers at night are super bright. I don't really use LED lights or fish at night that much at all, but they are super nice to have when you need them. And then above the switch panel over here on the driver's side, an option that you can add wireless phone charger. So that's really nice to have. I mean, obviously it charges it pretty nice, but it is a super secure place to keep your phone. And then as another option, you can add one on the passenger side as well. So build it out how you want it. Cup holder, a little nice cubby along here. Then obviously we've got the DTS control here with push button start. Always kind of fun. So keys just got to be on to engage that, but that's pretty much it back here. I mean, as far as my rear live scope that I've got mounted, obviously, like you guys probably know, all Sea-Light everything when it pertains to my live scope setup. So I've got the rear live scope set up on the track on a Superior Fishing Products track mount right there. Super sturdy, nice and solid. And then we just lay the pole right on the floor here. So like I said, that's pretty much it. Oh, obviously, nice little feature to have. Lund always will give you a little hook holder right there, kind of like an aqua traction type material. Not super important, but it is convenient when you're running a rear live scope. That transducer cable can just run right in there and stay out of the way. So from there, we'll move to the front, the dance floor, as I call it. Nice big front deck on the 2075. I'll put a chart up on the screen, do an overlay to show you the differences in the interior sizes when you go from 1875 Pro Vs to 2175 and how much space you gain in the cockpit to the bow. So right now, as a 2075 stands, if I were to upgrade to a 2175, you would gain 1 more foot of front deck space, but the back cockpit remains the same. So like I said, you guys will be able to see that overlay up there, but in the meantime, we'll just kind of go over all the features on the bow here. But I guess I spoke a little too soon. As we make our way to the front, we will go over the 15 rod storage box here in the middle. Super nice. I mean, I'm pretty sure you can fit from the top 8 footers on the top, 7.5, and then 7 as they go down in tiers. I'm not exactly sure, don't quote me on that. Once I find the specs, like I said, I'll overlay them on the screen. But from the factory as well, I did order the 5-bank Minn Kota Precision charger that's also mounted down there. And then up underneath that tray right there is where my deep cycle batteries are. 3 for a 36-volt system on my Minn Kota Tarova Quest. So all that stuff is accessible up underneath the rod locker there. But then moving up front, once again here, as far as the storage goes, on the port side here, we've got your onboard cooler, insulated cooler. That holds ice really well, so it's always nice to be able to put a bunch of ice and drinks and snacks and stuff in there without having a separate cooler on board. Granted, there obviously is enough room, but it's always nice to have that. And then on the starboard side, this is your front 14-gallon front live well. I've plugged this off and I just use this for storage here because I am seldom ever going to put fish up here when we've got that 31-gallon in the back. So It's nice to have that extra storage there. Then up in front of the console, we've got this your standard, that's where all your fuses are and all that stuff. Obviously we've got some wires flailing all over the place because I've been doing some different rigging lately. So that's where all that's accessible from. And then huge front storage compartments on the port and starboard side as well. So one side I've got kind of my pertinence, some fenders in there, just whatever you want to throw. And then I've got plastics, my trolling motor pedal, just whatever you want to throw in here. You can put a small child in there if you really want to. There's a lot of space. And then something new that they've integrated from the 2075 and 2175. If you guys are Ultrex guys, they have put a recessed foot pedal tray in here as well. So my Tarova foot pedal does not fit in there, but it doesn't really matter because the Tarova foot pedal is not set up for anything recessed like that. So right now it just remains as is, but just stomp her down. She's good to go. And then we've got just your standard little tool holders up here. Again, all things that are standard from the Pro Vs that when they redesigned it in 2023. Bow cargo netting. Obviously we've got our life jackets over there on that side, another life jacket, just whatever you want to put in them. It's always nice to have those front compartments. And as we kind of move even more forward, we have just your bow storage compartment under the bow piece here. So I've got my front live scope mounted up underneath there. Got a little bus bar fuse block right there as well if you want to rig up some other stuff. But we've got standard trim and tilt for the engine in the front here. Standard Minn Kota, I forget the voltage, but that is the plug that you want for those. But then my favorite part of the boat, like you guys have seen in my last video that I just did, we've got the GPS map 8616 and then another 126 Ultra mounted on the Beatdown Ultimate Shorty. This thing is just super fun to use. It's super robust and sturdy. We can bring it up a little bit, or we could bring it up a lot of bit. And I don't have a lot of power cable because, like I said, I've been doing some different types of rigging, but I don't really need to bring that thing up anymore. That's pretty much right in your face. I never have it up that high, usually unless we're crappie fishing in the wintertime. But it is really nice to just be able to bring that up as far as you could think that you want to. Get everything tightened back down. Loosen this one up, pull that pin, then it's all the way back down. So even an optimal viewing angle when you're standing up here, but it can come up more, and you can put extension pieces on this one to bring it up even more. But like I said, as far as rigging goes, this is how we initially mounted it on the bow piece here. I think what I'm potentially gonna do is bring this down to the floor, only because I still have a little bit kind of a difficult time seeing when I'm at the helm up there. So that might be on the docket too, to just move that guy down here, but we'll see how that goes. And like I said, for my bow mount, I run the 72-inch Minn Kota Tarova Quest, the brushless model. This thing is an absolute beast of a trolling motor, definitely the best one that I've ever had. I have a lot of people ask me why I'm not running the Garmin Kraken. Reliability is number one. Rigidness, robustness, reliability being number one. Have never had an issue with the Tarova, and if I have in the past, not necessarily the Quest. Easily diagnosable, parts are easy to get, whereas with Garmin, I've just heard a little bit too many, iffy things, and I don't want to be stuck out on the water. But we've got that on the Minn Kota quick detach plate up there, so if something does happen, I can slide it off, throw a spare on, I'm good to go for the day. And then swing around here, we've got the Sea Light pole for the front. This is actually pretty cool. Sea Light's got some cool stuff coming down the pipe, but this is a prototype handle that they've sent me. I'll just deploy this, but just to show you guys real quick what I decided to do on this boat for the front, instead of using the Sport Track up here, I mounted a 6-inch piece of Trax Tech track right there. And then Sea Light obviously offers like a quick detach option, and that just slides right in. But this thing is so solid and secure, it's not even funny. That's why I'd prefer having it on a track, because it's much more stable than having the potential when you're running in rough water with that thing, halfway deployed, that it's not going anywhere. So this is the Pro Series Sea Light armature here. So just got that one pin right there. Loosen this guy up, break that away, get it straight, tighten that aluminum knob down, and then you just put this guy right back through. It's got several different holes in there, and then you're fishing. You're good to go. So this is a new collar that Sea Light has come out with. Before, they just had like a tension screw when you actually deploy the pole, but on this one, you just slide this guy right in with that kind of collar, and that you use this outside tension knob to be able to, you know, just if you want it locked down, super tight, not moving, or just loosen it up slightly, and that's not going anywhere, because oftentimes their set screw that they have right now would wear a groove into the pole itself, and then when you're trying to move it around, you know, it's just like sticking and going in all different directions. But then this handle right here, you can adjust that however you want to your liking, and then it sets like that. Then you bring it up, just loosen this guy, pull everything out, and then if you want to, when you're running, you can just loosen this so those teeth kind of line up like that, and then just make it one compact deal like that. So I was excited when they came out with that option. It will be available for you guys at some point, so something to look forward to. But when you're stowing this, just do the same thing, break it away, loosen this guy up, make it all kind of one compact little deal there for traveling. And then obviously if you've got to put your cover on, we just take these end caps off of the track, loosen these knobs up, slide the sucker out, put it on the floor, then you're good to go. But really that's about it. I mean, again, on the Lund Sport Track system, you can put just about anything you want on there. So for traveling, when we're going from spot to spot, I've just got 3-banger rod holders on both sides. It's always nice to have them up and out of the way and stuff, but you can put just about whatever you want on here. But guys, that's pretty much it. This is literally my dream boat. You know, I mean, obviously budget plays a big factor into a lot of stuff. Sure, I would like to have a 21.5-foot Lund with a 400 on the back, but for when I'm guiding 300 days out of the year on 6,000 or 7,000, 8,000 acre lakes, like a 400 is really just not necessary. It is when I go up to the Great Lakes, but this is the perfect middle of the road boat on the market. I mean, aluminum, you just don't get much better than this. I mean, the ride, everything, this thing's got a 62-gallon fuel tank. So like I said, tournament boat, core fishing boat, but it works amazing for, you know, the fish and ski aspect as well. There's a ski pylon base back there. Pulls great for the kids on the tube, but it's just incredible. Plus, like I said, you get the 300 V8 and this thing is just so fun to drive. Absolute dream boat. It's been really fun the last couple months running this thing. I have upgraded once a year, every year since 2023, but I think this one I'm probably gonna keep forever unless Lund decides to completely refresh it again at some point, which they do have a tendency to do. But I did just get back from the Lund 2026 model year dealer conference up in Wisconsin. So I got to see a lot of the stuff that Lund's got coming down the pipeline right now. It's crazy. It's crazy. These boats are insane. They got several different colors, options. They've refreshed the new impacts. You can get full aqua traction from the factory in a 2075 impact, which is huge. Right now, you've just got from the factory an option to do the gunnels in aqua traction, which I highly recommend because these suckers are slick. So definitely recommend that. But Lund's got a new HG model coming out, which stands for heavy gauge. I'll superimpose a picture over the screen right now what those things are and what they run like. Definitely looks like a Pacific Northwest, kind of like sturgeon boat, great big water boat for the Great Lakes. Literally something for everyone. But if you guys want to price out a Lund here in the Midwest, definitely call Mid-Kansas Marine, midkansasmarine.com. Check out our socials too. We can build you just about whatever you want. They do stock a lot of the smaller boats like the Impacts, the Renegades, the Pro V Bass, the Explorers, you know, your kind of just lower end type stuff. But if you're not in the market for a 2075 Pro V, we can do it for you. So like I said, midkansasmarine.com or call the Hutchinson or Andover location. That's pretty much it. It's a beautiful day here in Kansas land. I think I'm gonna open this girl up. We'll make a few runs. In the meantime, hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like I said, we're gonna do full aqua traction in this boat and I'm gonna mount those tracks. So I think I'll do a couple separate videos on those. I look forward to all that stuff. Hope you guys do too. We'll see you on the next video.